Welcome back to another episode of Life in Autofocus. I'm your host, Jaden Wheeler, and today I have the lovely Victoria with me today.
Hello.
Victoria,
Hi.
lovely model.
Thanks.
We actually got to collaborate on a recent project
Yes.
with my portrait series that I'm doing there. I guess starting everything off, nice and broad question here is just what got you involved with modeling, and like what has your career in modeling looked like since you started it?
Well, I got into it back in 2018. I was always interested in like the entertainment industry,
Mm-hmm.
acting, modeling, whatever, but coming from the household that I grew up in, it was do your real job first or pursue a real career first, and
Yeah.
then if you want to, when you're an adult,
Yeah.
pursue these hobbies on the side, then feel free to do so.
Totally.
So that's kind of what I did. And I actually got into the industry when I applied for a couple of agencies.
Okay.
Because I had no clue what the heck I was
Yeah.
doing. As everybody who is outside of an industry knows, like you don't know anything until you know it, something.
Totally.
And then I got accepted to, at the time, I think it was called Numa.
Okay.
Numa
Yeah,
Model
yeah.
Agency. And then they taught me some stuff, but it was just very kind of, I think they just wanted new faces all the time, and it wasn't really like a development.
Oh, they weren't working on like you personally.
Yeah,
Just getting
it was just
quantity.
Like, exactly. And like, I mean, quantity is great, especially if you're like a newbie and you don't have anything.
Totally.
And then through that, I learned a couple stuff like their test shots and all of that. And then I got out of the agency just kind of freelance, because the more I accumulated and talking to with like photographers and the makeup artists in the industry, like I slowly gained like the industry know-how.
Totally.
And yeah, like right now it was like on and off for a good number of years, especially because, well, as you know, in the creator side of things, it's not a sustainable work up until it is.
Totally.
So you do need to like do a double gig or whatever for a living. So it really was sporadic on and off, but I was lucky enough to meet creators like you who like were able to project me onto the next kind of project and the next project.
Of course.
And yeah, and now we're in 2025.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. The years have flown by for sure, but I couldn't agree more. I think the creators industry is such a, like, you need to either put in the work, which shout out to everybody who does that, because you guys are killing it. Where it's, you're pulling the 16 to 24-hour days, grinding on social media, and really just putting their foot in the door wherever they can. Or like you said, you're, waiting for that opportunity where you don't just take your career right off of there. And I think in a realistic world, it's balancing the work that you need to do to ensure that you can afford to get by every single day, while not losing that touch with your creative side as well. So it's definitely the industry. It definitely requires a lot of motivation, and I think meeting the people that you meet through the industry is a huge part of what keeps us going. I guess so you mentioned you went through agencies, and we got to work together, and I've seen all the other projects that you've been a part of. Like, what would be your goal in modeling? Like, if you saw yourself in 10 years from now doing your modeling career, like where would you want to be?
I think I would just like to be at a place where I have a number of projects under my belt, because what I have observed from firsthand and indirectly as well, what I've observed for models, I guess, is that consistency and longevity becomes an issue really fast. Just because you're not, like, you as an individual might be perfect for one project, but then horrible for the next project, or like the next couple of projects. So it really is like kind of a fight between what you have, like physical wise, because that's appearance,
Totally.
which is like, it's not bad, like it's just like that's what you in a way market yourself for. So yeah, you could be a good fit for one and then horrible for the next or the next couple. And then even if you're a good fit for one, there's like a gazillion other girls that have similar aesthetics to you. So
Totally.
it's like a fight within a fight kind of thing.
Of course.
So I think I would just like at the end of everything to be proud and look back and be like, I've had these number of projects lined up under my
Totally.
belt,
Yeah.
and then this is like when I'm like 60 or 65
Yeah.
or something, because like I think the category I'm in, I'm not tall. I'm 5'4". So fashion model, nah.
Yeah.
Like the runway stuff, I love runway walking,
Totally.
but it's like you just need a specific, body type and the height. And like
Yeah.
the one thing that you cannot change with surgery or anything else is height.
Yep.
Like you could break your knees and try that, but I mean that's a horrible way to get
Totally.
tall.
Yeah.
So like it turns out in like the commercial, or like as they call it, models, it really is like the real life, the everyday kind of look,
Yep.
kind of thing, which competition is stiff because everybody looks at me
Everybody,
like
yeah.
everybody is everybody. So but in that category I found that there is a good chance for that consistent work and the longevity of your career. It's just the motivation and the effort it takes to accumulate that.
Yeah,
so
of course.
hopefully when I'm 75 come back to you and be like, hi, I'd be like, okay, so these are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7.
Yeah. And
onwards.
I'll wait for that moment.
Right?
I think I love the when creators come and they say that their goal is to just have a long list of projects, like that's definitely where I see myself as well. It's why do we do this if not to look back in 10-15 years from now and say this is what I was able to do. No, I definitely am in the same boat as you. I think you were talking about the kind of aesthetic that you find in a model, and obviously there are set categories for different types of people with the different types of looks that they want to create. But one thing that I've always tried to push back against is the stereotypes that modeling has in the industry, and I do think we've come a long way from where we were before. But I'm genuinely curious from a model's perspective, at least, like, do you still find that those kind of harder I use like fashion modeling as a very good example here, because there is very much a set look that they have there, and sometimes it's portrayed in very negative ways to the models there. Like, do you find that that's something that you see still being experienced by models in today's industry, or do you think that that's something that we've been able to shift kind of away from now and become more of like that lifestyle universal model type?
I think like the official stance, and I say unofficial because like just like the overarching trend or viewpoint, I think it has definitely shifted, especially just with what era are we in right now, like honestly. But like underlyingly, and it might also be self-imposed by the models themselves, because for me, example as well, like I'm not gonna lie, I do struggle with just that thought of like, okay, let's, not that I'm counting calories, but I'm like, I don't like adhere to a strict diet, but I can't say my eating habits are the most healthy in terms of like I eat maybe 1 or 2 meals a day, which is not like, I get busy, okay, so it's not like intentionally bad, but somehow I'm intermittently fasting, which it does help, but I mean, I'm probably not, eating enough for my body. And I do have noticed that I get like energy crashes and stuff. But like also on the flip side, it's like, well, as unhealthily as my like eating habits are right now, it also kind of in a way helps what I'm doing in the modeling side, because like kind of the self-imposing thoughts are like more or less the thoughts. It's like you do have to look fit in some senses. Like unless like not even unless, like if you're a curve model too, there are like, certain standards that like you really do, because it's a camera capture. So
Totally.
So I think we are still in the transition of moving away. But I think now the pressure to, maintain a fit or like skinny figure or whatever is less imposed externally and perhaps still imposed internally. So now that balance may be, let's say 50-50.
Yeah.
Before it was like the external pressure, like the industry was like, you have to be, your waists have to be like 25 inches or whatever. And that was an external thing imposed on the models. Well, like now it's maybe like, let's say 50-50, where like that kind of like underlying pressure is there, but like officially it's like, no, like, come as you are kind of thing. But then internally as a model coming into the industry and with like history, like this is all precedence. So like with that mindset of like a model should be XYZ based on the historical stereotypes, it's like, well, now I'm also like internally producing that kind of mindset. So we're still transitioning, I think. Or just speaking about me, I am transitioning, and maybe like other models are too.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the creator industry, like imposter syndrome, I think is a huge, huge factor in people not reaching their full potential because they tell themselves that they aren't, the cover magazine model that they see growing up, or, they don't have the 1 million followers on Instagram where they think that they're being seen. When it comes to modeling, I think I have always, I mean, I'm not a model myself, and I made that very clear to myself. I will not see myself on that side of the camera. But as a photographer, I think one of my biggest goals with the work that I do is making sure that anybody who comes to me feels like they're a model at the end of their shoot. I think there is a key element in photography that the photographer should have, which is that they can photograph anybody, anywhere, at any time. And that means taking in people with all different sizes, shapes, attributes that they have that make them unique. Like, I think as a photographer, it's my job to go to the client and say, like, this is how we can make your look work. But I'm very curious though, because we grow up, we hear about these Vogue models or Vanity Fair models, and even on the retouching side of photography, like the skin airbrushing or the slimming down of the waist or plumping out the lips.
Okay, going back to that, like before we started, my comment of I'm totally breaking out skin wise because it was my time of the month, just like a couple of weeks ago, so it shows on the skin, and I'm like, not a makeup artist, so like what I have is like the very bare minimum of just like sunscreen and some concealer, but it's not like a hair and makeup artist like full on glam or like soft glam, or like it just like makes it airbrush look kind of thing. And in the post-production also, depending, does the editing after, which is like, it's for the final project, like the final project is like packaged beautifully, and that's kind of what, in a way, the industry, that's the product, like that's what you put out. But the fact that I also was like, so I'm breaking out, so can you please just like the red spots, any blemishes? Guilty.
Of course. Yeah, and I mean, I think like retouching, like those kind of things, I don't find to be too extensive. Like obviously if you come into a shoot and you have a big pimple on your face that you could not get rid of, or a scar maybe that you don't want to be reminded of, or even just like flyaway hairs or stuff like that, I get it. We'll get rid of those. But it's when you get the, I want to look 3 sizes smaller than I actually am, or I want to look 10 years younger on my skin. It's, I can understand the appeal to those sometimes, but it also, like, to me, it takes away the art of photography, which is like capturing things in that moment, not capturing it and then bringing it back in the past, essentially, to a time where you saw yourself differently. So, I think we are shifting in a great direction in terms of the standards photographers are bringing into the picture, and vice versa, when models are coming into play as well. But I mean, I guess you'll find some still that aren't.
Well, I mean, the industry is still changing, and there's how many years, infinite number of years in the human overall species. So I mean, in the next 10-15 years, who knows? Like, I mean, now maybe the pressure, if at all existing, will come from internal, like from the model side maybe, and the external would be like, no, just we're not gonna edit or make you 3 times smaller than you are on camera, like we refuse to, that's not authentic. So it might become like that.
And I you mentioned it before too, we're like, you were asking like, what era are we in now? Like, I think our generation, we're in a very awakened generation now, where I think the surge in creators nowadays has skyrocketed through the roof. Like, you could not look at the industry 15 years ago and see as many people as you see
Yeah.
doing what we do. And what's great about that is that every person that is in the industry is creating their own version of it and bringing in new trends or styles that we might not have ever been able to see before. So,
and if it was existing before, I feel like it was not like there was no limelight on it, simply because the tools weren't available.
Yeah, I will say that, you know, like shout out to TikTok for being a huge platform that's brought a lot of people to the surface. Great platform that's rising a lot of people out. But yeah, you know, we didn't have TikTok.
No.
When we were growing up, it was YouTube was our TikTok platform.
But then like YouTube also came like halfway into our childhood. Totally. I feel similar age and all. Like maybe everything before grade 6.
Yeah.
Was like, even Facebook was like, I remember it was around grade 4 for me.
Yeah.
And that was like just to get connected to the people you see every day at school. But like, yeah, even YouTube or like those creator content platforms.
Messenger or something like that.
Oh my god, I miss MSN. Actually, I do.
That's a good time. They had all those like fun emojis that you could send to somebody if they weren't responding to you.
When you like have a crush and you're like, let's chat after school on MSN, and so you like, it's like a whole.
And you would wait to see their status on there change to active, and you're like, oh, they're on, let's spam them. Yeah, those are some good times for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely miss MSN.
I do too.
Yeah.
They should bring it back.
They should bring it back. Awesome. I guess we'll switch more to the personal side here, which is, you know, just things that you like to do in your day-to-day aside from modeling. If we don't see you on the stage or on the runway modeling, what are you doing?
I work my 9 to 5.
Yep.
I am in the legal industry. It is an intense industry, like the stereotypes there, and there's always gonna be, but I enjoy the learning aspect. It always, like, that industry I found forces you to keep learning even if you're off the clock. So like, I do revisit some of my school books and like go through some, like, for example, corporate law. There's like BC Business Corporations Act, and then just like flip through like subsection 1. Like, I mean, it just always forces you to like
be learning something all the
pursue something new, new information and everything. The practice itself is a completely different ballgame, but so I do that. But like, actually, for like enjoyment purposes, I have 2 kitties now.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, they just turned 2, I think, last Tuesday, if that was July 8th.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so since they came into my life 2-ish years ago, I feel like all of my time for rest has gone to them. Which, like, you know, sometimes they can get a little annoying, but you know, they're cats.
They're like children.
Yeah, they really are. But overall, like, I understand why animals can be healing. And it provides me good emotional support and all of that. Can't say it's a hobby though.
No.
I must say that's more also kind of like
a lifestyle.
It is.
Is what it is. Yeah.
Any pet is
Any
really.
pet, yeah.
And yeah, like sleeping, really.
Sleeping.
Yeah.
Love it. And coffee.
Oh, and coffee, yes.
Yes.
And the occasional friend, like, meetups and chats and all.
So cute.
Right?
Yeah. Love it. What are your cats' names?
Oh, Franklin and Lucas.
Franklin and Lucas.
Franklin and Lucas, yeah.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
We'll find photos to put in here so you guys can see them.
Yes.
Yes. All right. I think I wanna kind of wrap up here in our photo shoot that we did, the cherry blossom photo shoot. One of my favorite of the series thus far. Not just because you were willing to climb and scale a tree for me in a dress, but I think the makeup art that we did on your eyes was truly amazing. Shout out Animal for being amazing at what you do. We see you. But I was very curious if you had to use 3 words to describe what our shoot experience was like for you. Even if you want to use the words to describe what the final images came out like. What 3 words would you use for that?
3. Only 3 words.
3 words.
Did you not get the impression that I'm a chatty person? 3-word limit. Okay.
You can hyphenate. I'll let you hyphenate words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's was spontaneous on my end, not your end.
Yeah. I was like, I put a lot of planning into
it. It was the most well planned shoot that I've had a chance to be involved with. But on my end, spontaneous, because I didn't know that I was going to climb a tree that day.
Nope. Neither did I.
I'd say it was just overall fun.
Yeah.
So fun. And sparkly. Like, it just, the energy, everybody's energy was, it was like the energy, if you could see energies, it would like just glisten and sparkle, because everybody from Amol, the hair makeup artist, to you, to your friend slash assistant slash manager,
co-creator.
Yes, co-creator. And to the videographer, like as soon as we all came into contact, everybody was just like, the energy vibrations were so high and just sparkled.
It was such, and it was early in the day too. Like we met up early in the morning. I hate when I have to group people together so early, but it was in the middle of the Cherry Blossom Festival where I just we knew it was going to be so busy,
and the humans like traffic, so many
traffic. It was and shout out to Asden for finding that small little park area, because that's not where we originally were going to shoot anyways. We were wanted to go to the big popular area, which was filled with people.
So many people. So many people.
But we found that cute little park there. Surprisingly, not a lot of people were there, which is insane. And
that's my area too, like my neighborhood. So like I feel like I should have known something like that.
Well, but now you did.
Now I do.
And that's what this project is all about, is just discovering new things. But I agree with the energy level. I think a big part of the project, when I'm conceptualizing these shoots and I'm finding the people to connect with them, it's really based on the person's energy. Now I can bring what I need to bring to the table, and I can find the people who can do the job, but the people who come in, they need to have the willingness to want to collaborate and be creative. And I think we all kind of feed off of each other's energies when we're there. My assistant Asin, she gives me a lot of ideas that I would otherwise not think about in the moment there, because she's constantly scanning around too to say, oh, this would look so good if you did this. Or you, for instance, you're like, do you want me to climb the tree? And I'm like, no, but kind of yes. Like,
okay,
if you can, it'd be great. But I will take
no legal liabilities if you
made
fall.
That very clear. No legal obligations if you fall. But I mean, that was probably one of my favorite shots too, was you in the tree. Like, there's that shot, like when I show people our session and I'm describing the photos, I'm like, when you're in the tree, I'm like, she's like an extension of the tree. Like the way that you posed yourself, so elegant, so poised, and you're literally a tree branch coming out of this tree. And then you just look at all the details behind it as well too. Like your dress was gorgeous, and the makeup that you had done was gorgeous. Your hair was straight, and
it was like this,
but it looked so rich, and like I think just everything tied together so beautifully. Not at all what I thought that shoot was going to look like, if I'm being 100%. Like,
well, see, that's a spontaneous thing. You can plan up to a certain point.
Totally.
And then the spontaneity of that day and how. Right. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack. Despite being illegal, I might not be the best with words.
It's all good. We don't hold you to that.
Right. Yeah. But just the location, how it turned out, the climbing of the tree, just a lot of factors. Like you just can't plan for everything.
No. And I think when I started this portrait series, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick, I think I'm at 14 photographers now that I've chosen for this project. When I handpicked all these photographers, it was because at some point in my life I've researched them, or I've looked up to them, or they've inspired me to do something creative on my own frontier. And that's really what I want to carry into each of these sessions is I don't need to exactly replicate those people, but it's what they inspire me to do in those sessions that the spontaneity and the creative part of it. And so I think, there were elements of the photographer that I chose for the session that we did that we definitely did
Which
capture.
I don't know, by the way. I don't know. He hasn't told me.
Nope.
Yet.
No. There were some elements where I was like, no, I definitely need to capture that at some degree. But when you look at like the overall sense of it, like it's a completely different shift in the work that they did to what I was able to produce, which is the fun part about it. So stay tuned to find out who that was inspired of here.
Yes.
I'm not telling anybody anything. I think the only other person that knows is my assistant.
Yeah, well, I mean, fine.
And it's only because she needs to help me understand like what elements I need to bring together. But we'll wrap up that project hopefully by the end of this year, maybe next year.
It'll be a nice Christmas present, or like a big New Year's
launch,
bang.
something. Yeah, and now we're doing a video podcast series, which is the next extension of this project, I guess. So, last thing that we'll wrap up here is maybe just for anybody watching who wants to get into modeling or pursue that in their own way or style here, what advice would you have for anybody trying to get started in the industry?
Play it smart, honestly. So do your research of what is out there, or as much as you can. Like, I understand if you are coming from outside the industry and you know nothing, no people, no agency, it's hard to kind of filter through your research and be like, this is legitimate, and it will, connect you with like good people to surround yourself with, to work together with and such. But there can be also some uncomfortable situations that can happen as well. So as much as like the other side is put yourself out there, be open to saying yes to everything and try something new, but within the realms of maintaining your safety, being smart about it. I think, that's what I would say. And not to take like rejection personally, like that applies to everything in life, and I'm still struggling with rejection in a lot of sense. But it really, like, it's, especially with modeling, it's such a physical appearance focused role that you really, like, if you're not picked, you're just simply not the physical aesthetic that the producers or the photographers or the organizers of the shoot and the project are envisioning for it. And you're not the fit for that one, but maybe in the next time they're looking for somebody exactly like you.
I think especially in a photography / modeling industry where, like you said, your image is the product essentially at the end of the day, you can't look at rejection as like a personal target on yourself, right? I think at the end of the day, it'd be no different than like not getting chosen for a casting role because you didn't have the voice or the character traits that they were looking for that position, right? So I think it's very much just finding that right spot in the industry, connecting with the right people to get you to those spots. And just learning to grow from each experience that you're able to get a hold of. Well, if you're an aspiring model that wants to get involved in the industry, you can always hit me up. I'd love to connect. And
it's very good at people development.
And I think all we can say is just continue to be creative out there and try new things and be the best version of yourself.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much, Victoria, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Bye.